Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of Journey of a Blooming Lotus. And today's episode is going to be about how cycles be cycling and how the shadow work is so important during this time. Um, I'm going to kind of teach, but still integrate my own story. But yeah, thank you for liking, subscribing, all of the things. Thank you for everybody who's been following me from one platform to another and just all the kind words and the energetic exchange. I really, really appreciate all of that. And let's jump in. So, there's so many cycles that we live in. And I'm going to just to keep it simple, bring up one of my cycles, which I feel like a lot of people can relate. And we're going to go with codependency. So, the cycles of codependency. I mean, this could be in romantic relationships, this can be in your family dynamic, this can be in your friendships, and it in my experience it comes from abandonment. And you get to the point where you feel the suffering of loneliness, and then you realize that abandonment and loneliness is really just a figment of our imagination. How can we ever be abandoned and how can we ever be alone when we're a part of a collective? When you go outside and you see somebody, that's a reflection of you. So, where the abandonment comes in is really how do you integrate yourself in society? How are you? Do you have expectations? Let's say that. Do you have expectations of how people are supposed to show up for you? Do you have a certain idea in your mind of how your friendship or your relationship is supposed to go and how your partner is supposed to show up for you? And it doesn't get fulfilled. So, this is a cycle, right? That I've identified within myself. Now, I got my cue cards today. So, that's the identifying and observing. So, identifying would be, in my mind, it would be going back to, okay, where did this come from? Where did it start? And for me, I suffer from abandonment because both of my parents weren't in the same household. At one point, I didn't have any parents in the household, and I was being taken care of my aunt. So, at a small age, I am already suffering through abandonment. This can also be reflected through your parents getting divorced. It could be like a sudden loss. Um, there's so many different things that can contribute to feeling abandonment as an adult, and also seeing how this pours over into your relationships. And it's a perspective that's really based on survival in its root chakra. So, and that's connected to our money. And money is like, your currency, your energy exchange, and things like that. So, if you're not open to receive because you're so afraid to be abandoned, then sometimes that plays out in your finances. So, yeah, and it's happened to me. I'm just going to be fully transparent. And this is what I was saying before. I made a post online, and it's like, your partner, if you start taking losses with somebody, I'm sorry. To a certain extent, yeah, I'm gonna be there with you, but to a certain extent, no. Because as soon as I start taking losses and I see you over here benefiting, it's time to go. It's just letting me know that there's an imbalance there, and we got to start reconfiguring like, how did I get here? And how do I get out of here? Because I can't control nobody. And this is where you start identifying your cycles. Have I been here before? Who was I here with? What were the expectations and the dynamics of that relationship? You know? So that's a whole thing. Now, observing where you are right now. If you're in that situation right now, there's a lot to comb through, right? There was a lot to comb through for me in the last, I would say, about a year and a half. It was really hard for me in my last relationship. I'm not going to blast myself out there or him, but at the same time, let's just say there was a lot of combing through. And at the end of it, I could only see myself. Alicia, how did you create this situation for yourself? And it came down to me really not understanding why I wasn't seen. And me not being seen has to do with me being abandoned, right? If you abandoned me, why would you abandon me? What did I do? What did I say? How did I show up wrong? All these different things. Now, this is something that you as a child may have processed in your mind when your parents abandoned you, when your parents got divorced, when you figured out that your dad wasn't your dad. There's so many different things that pour into it. So it's like it can go super deep, and it's gonna, so and it going super deep is like, going to the bottom of the circle, but what's at the bottom is always going to come to the top. So as we're going through these cycles, it's down at the bottom. It's like rooted, deeply rooted within, right? Then it comes up to the sunlight and is like, hey, you forget about me? You thought you healed me, huh? No. Let's see how you navigate this time. So this has been, for myself, this has been a constant cycle that has shown up in relationships. And what I learned from that is that I was really putting the expectations of my parents on my partners. And I had to heal the relationship with my parents. The fact that I did not have my parents together in the household. At one point, I didn't have both of my parents in the household. And thank God, as an adult and with a loving heart, I'm able to see, like, hey, you're just human. You made these decisions. And yeah, I hope I never end up in those shoes. Let's just say that. I hope I never end up in those shoes. And I'm grateful that that's something that they went through and that I got to witness to understand why I shouldn't do it. So that's where you start, I would say, not cultivating love, but more so understanding from the perspective of your healed self, right? Your higher self. And so I feel like that's going to bring me into my next card. And I feel like I'm kind of hopping all over the place. Forgive me, but who is reflecting the trauma in the cycle? All right. So with all that being said, now that you have these different situations probably identified within your own life through my story, now you can ask yourself, who is reflecting the trauma? Who's reflecting that back to you in real time today? Is it your sister? Is it your coworker? Is it your man? Is it your woman? And what is the truth, right? What is your truth? So if this is happening now in real time, for instance, you have a partner and you're doing everything that you can to keep y'all afloat. And the partner is not doing what they need to be doing. Okay. And they're putting it on you as if you're doing something wrong. And you're like, I need to fix it. I need to fix it. And you're trying so hard. And now you're burnt out and depleted. So, what is your truth in this situation? And are you speaking your truth? And if you're not speaking your truth, why aren't you speaking your truth? Now, when you understand why you aren't speaking your truth, that gives you the key factors that you need to work through. And when you get to the point of speaking your truth, trust and believe that God, Spirit, the universe, your ancestors, and your guides is going to test you. Oh, you said it? Let me see if you're going to live on it. And it's hard to live on it. And sometimes we just have to give ourselves grace. Sometimes we have to cycle around a couple of times to learn the lesson and get over it. And a lot of the times, not even a lot of the times, the hardest part is choosing yourself. It's so hard to choose self sometimes. And that is where the manifestation comes in, right? Okay, so I wrote this out. To identify is I was here. To observe is I am here. And then your manifestation is I'm going to, right? And I am grateful for ahead of time. So when we go back to the hardest part is choosing yourself, that is that momentum uphill to get to the next frequency, to align with the version of yourself that already exists, that already has the things that you're asking for. Okay. And I know that can be a little offsetting, but just keep up with me. So, for me, in my manifestation, when I first started manifesting this big ecosystem of things, I had to quit two jobs. I had to leave 2 boyfriends. I cried so much. I cried so much. And there was so much fear that came up, right? Am I going to be able to afford this? Am I going to be able to, you know, keep up? Am I worthy of it? I've never had it before. I'm hoping that I'm worthy of it, you know? And you start to see how your worthiness really plays out when you fine tune within yourself and you're like listening to that inner dialogue. You're like, did I just tell myself that's not going to work? That you don't see how many people are going to be able to support your business? Did you just say that before or after you just said something out loud that was great? You just canceled that out. Like, what are we doing right now? And this is something that may take a while. So you're going to go through little mini cycles of all of this to get back to the point of, okay, let me not forget what I'm manifesting and what is God showing me, what is poking out to me, letting me know, hey, it's time to let me go. And when you identify if there's fear or not, then you need to shrink, 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 cut that fear up and move on up, honey. It's like going through the mountains and there's a trail, but the trees have been overgrowing. And it's like, oh no, we didn't prune right there. Let me just go ahead and prune so I can keep that path clear, right? And that's all you're doing. And me saying it out loud, it's like, oh yeah, that's all you're doing. It's hard. It's hard. Don't let nobody fool you. You know, and this is the manifestation through the evolution of your spirit, going back to the last video, you know. So I would say that be mindful of your manifestations. Be aware of the cycles that you're in this particular room on this frequency, right? Because different levels, different devils, that's where that comes from. And so no matter how much money you end up making, right? No matter how great things get or how bad things get, trust and believe you can always oscillate up and down the scale. It's just a matter of getting that momentum, that drive, having your frequency high that has everything to do with your diet, meditation, cleansing your energy, and yeah, just going out into nature and being like a real human that's not conditioned to just like be programmed for Starbucks, Macy's, online shopping, what's on Instagram and what's on TV. We need to tune out of the matrix for a bit, tune into self, and really start going through that fine combing and processing through the cycles, because trust and believe the wheels don't stop turning, honey. They don't. You came here to break these generational cycles or curses. So, with that being said, it's like, know that you're made for it. The last place that you're going to feel it and see it is in the physical realm. So, most of this, ooh, I'm on point. Most of this is energetic. So, 80% energy, 20% physical. And don't ever, ever give up. Don't ever give up. You may be redirected, but don't ever give up. 3 Feet from Gold. And what is that book called? Think and Grow Rich. And one of my clients told me when I first started doing his hair, he said, Alicia, you just do so many things. Like, you're so bright, you're amazing. Like, this might be the last time I get my hair done. And he was saying that to me for a while. And he was like, there's this book called Think and Grow Rich. And I was like, wow, I actually just bought 3 books from that series last week. He was like, you remind me of the story of the man who was 3 feet from gold. He purchased land. He knew that there was supposed to be gold there. He dug and dug and dug, and he gave up because he didn't find any gold. He sold the land, and the person that actually bought it, you already know, struck. So don't give up on your dream, and also don't tell everybody everything, because everybody is not going to believe in your dream. It doesn't mean that everybody's sending magic. It doesn't mean that everybody is like against you. But then at the same time, what I've learned is there's certain things that I can't tell my mom or my dad. And it's not because I don't trust them. It's that because they don't understand. And a lot of people aren't going to understand. And I hope at some point everybody wakes up. But is that the reality of life? Definitely not. So that's another thing that I had to work through with the whole codependency thing, right? But at the same time, it's like this sovereignty that comes with spiritual sovereignty, that comes with understanding yourself, that in turn goes into financial sovereignty, where you're like working for yourself based on your own gifts. That's such a blessing to be able to do. And that's what we're all here for. So breaking the cycles, is it just about just the work? No. And it's not just about manifesting what should really come for free. And I'm talking about housing, transportation, and food. What else are you living for? Please tell me. What are you living for? And it's okay that you're living for your family, but personally though, what are you living for within yourself? What goals have you set for yourself? What do you envision for yourself? And what if I told you that getting there was 80% energetic and 20% physical? You wouldn't automatically have the burnout in your brain because you're like, oh shit, energetic, I could do this from my couch? Possibly. I mean, I'm sitting on my couch, so... And I've done a lot of research on my couch and put together a lot of stuff on my couch. So let's not dismiss the couch, okay? Just don't become a potato. All right, so shadow work integration or shadow integration. The shadow isn't bad. Use it as raw material to alchemize. So that's one of the universal laws. And I feel like it could go one of 2 ways, right? You can be like, woe is me. This is my story. This is the things that happened to me. Oh, I'm so sad. And I need you to be sad for me. And it's too much. It's draining at the end of the day. And so instead of letting these situations that are inevitable, turn it into raw material to alchemize what it is that you are manifesting, what it is that you desire, what it is that you pray for, you know? And so that's why we are thrown this adversity. And I want to say something about reincarnation too, and some people may not believe in reincarnation, but I definitely believe in it because the soul doesn't die. And so if the soul doesn't die and it needs to come back to learn some lessons, then, you know, you're going to have to come into some more carne. And yeah. And then if we're from the earth, then, and there's nothing new under the sun, come on, guys. But either way, I'm not here to convince y'all. But use your shadow as raw material to alchemize. So trust and believe that if you feel like you work through some things and you're like, ooh, I got to a good place, I'm sorry to break it to you, but something else is coming. And I'm not trying to say that it's coming right away. But this is the inevitable, okay? This is the inevitable. So that is where you really start to enjoy the present. I am so grateful for right now. I'm grateful for everything that is around me, inside of me, all of the lessons, you know. And even if things are not great, like I can tell you there are a couple of things that I can easily point out in my life that are like not tugging at me right now, but they're just like, you know, lingering over. And it's like, what am I doing without? I'm using it as an alchemizing tool. I'm right here online sharing the story and uplifting other people and hopefully inspiring you to, you know, move on with the cycles and hopefully chink, 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 break them. So another great catalyst, and I'm not here to tell anyone to do drugs, but expand. So there is a saying that the mushroom is the teacher, but you have to do the homework. And you don't have to do mushrooms, but you definitely have to do the homework. Mushrooms help you out a lot because it is nice to have somewhat of a teacher. And just know that the teacher is you. It's between you and God. And so for anybody that's out there doing it who resonates with this, I would say if you're not setting intentions, set your intentions so you can expand in the direction that you desire. Me personally, I've always been expanding to be in my higher self, and it's been a journey, but I'm definitely moving on up, honey. And I love it so much. And through it all, the cycles be cycling, and the shadow work is constantly integrated to the point where I have written many songs about shadow work. And don't ask me when I'm going to have my music out. Oh, and one more thing that I wanted to say before my camera dies is that it's my my storage. To thine own self be true. You only cheat yourself when you lie to yourself. So when you're identifying these trauma cycles, don't act like you ain't the problem, okay? Don't be a narcissist to yourself. To thine own self be true, because the truth will set you free out of the cycle into a higher frequency where you get what you've been asking for. Okay, guys, love you. That was episode 3. Stay tuned for episode 4. Until next time. Oh, go visit me at bloominglotusenergy.com and don't forget to subscribe and like and tell your friends that I'm out in these streets on the internet only.